Thank you guys for joining in today. Today is a follow-up video. Well, not really a follow-up. It's a new video, but I'm using the same track that I was working on in the video that you will see if you follow the channel. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe, by the way. But if you've seen the video that I posted up before this one, I was building a beat, and that video was about pitch quantize. So if you didn't see that video, check in the description area, or something should pop up like right now in front of my face. Yeah, click on that video if you want to learn about pitch quantize in the MPC 2.6 software, and you can do the same in the MPC X and MPC Live. So the beat that I'm going to work on today, or in this particular video, I was using the same sequence in that video, so bear with me. I've rarely used the same beat twice, right, in videos. So this video is basically about how to take a 2-bar sequence and change it into an 8-bar loop, how to take an 8-bar loop and change that into a 16-bar verse, how to change a 16-bar verse and extend it to a full song. And most beats that's how they begin, right? Like, if 2 bars, if it don't get the crowd moving in 2 bars, then maybe you need to go back to the drawing board. Let's just say that. So there's several different ways you could approach this in the MPC platform. One of which is you can copy the sequences and then go inside each sequence and mute out each individual sound. In this particular beat, if you will, I only have 6 sounds. Maybe I'll add to it later, maybe I won't. One way how you could know if you want to add to a particular track that you're working on is to just mute out some of the sounds. And once you start muting out the sounds, you'll know if you want to bring in something, mute out something. And that's pretty much how songs are generally arranged on a professional level. That's how rappers, singers, songwriters, they get a vibe on how to go about creating an actual song. When you sell a beat, or when an artist, the first time they listen to the beat, is just a beat, there's no vocals on it. So there has to be some dynamic changes in order for that particular artist to be inspired to actually write something to it and then perform on it, right? So that's what I'm pretty much gonna show today. Hopefully it won't be that long. I don't know how long it's gonna be, so bear with me. So right now we have a 2-bar loop, which is and that'll become, if that's all that was going on, it'll become boring. So what I generally like to do, sometimes I'll do the copy the sequence thing, and sometimes, more times than less, I'll just if I have more than 2 sequences, I'll go into next sequence. If I had more than 2 sequences, in this particular one I only have 1, so this part defeats, I don't really have to show this part, and I've shown it in plenty of videos. I've explained it in several videos, how to use the next sequence mode. I do have a video on my channel that says next sequence mode. That might have been in the 2.5 or 2.4, but it's the same in the 2.6 version of the software. So I go in next sequence mode and switch between sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3. Sometimes I'll name it intro, outro, hook, verse, and then switch through that, right? Then I'll do the pad mutes and track mutes. In this particular one, I'm not going to do the next sequence mode because I only have one sequence. So I'll go to song mode, and then I will, let me bring this up so you guys can see. I will insert step, and there it go, sequence 1. I'd go down here to repeats, and I'll put however many. So this is a 2-bar sequence. It's in regular time. It's not in double time. So 2 bars is 2 bars, right? If it was in double time, 2 bars would be 1 bar, so on and so forth. Once you have that in place, you go to repeats. It's easier to do it on the with the hardware unit, but because I'm showing you guys this, simply click, hold, and drag up. And you want to keep count on how many times you repeat it because it's multiplying the 2 bars. So this becomes 2, 4, 6, 8. That'll be generally a chorus or a hook, as we call it. That 8 becomes, now you could go back to, you can convert this and then go back to the sequence that you converted and then just double it, duplicate it. So we're going to do this like, I don't know. I'm going to just say 16. Right? So that 16 becomes 32 bars. Then you go to convert sequence. You want to go to, I don't know if they fixed the bug. I'm going to try it right now. It was a bug in the 2.5, 2.4, 2.3 that when you converted sequence, and it'll pop up on the first unused sequence. But when you hit do it, it wouldn't do anything. So I'm gonna do it now and see if it actually does it. But particularly if it don't, then you have to click open to sequence, move it to the first used sequence, then come back to the first unused sequence, and then it'll work. But let's see. Do it. All right, so they fixed it. So as you can see, I got 1, 2, 3 sequences now from song unnamed. All right, so now I'd go back to main and I'd go to from song unnamed. Now I have 32 bars, but it's pretty much the same loop. It's the same 2 bars just looping for 32 bars, which can work if it's really John Blaze like that. It could work, but we're going to go into track mute. And how you get to track mute if you're just using the software. This right here is track mute, right? Click track mute. Now we're in track mute. I have 6 tracks, one of which is a drum that pertains all my drums. So if I mute out the drums, right, you hear nothing. So I have a video that's pad mute versus track mute. Someone asked me if all the drums are on one track. Generally, when I'm working, I like to keep all the drums on one track in one program. I then, when I'm going to move into making it a song, I leave it like that unless I'm going to export each individual track into Studio One to go and mix it down. I generally leave everything on one track, and then to get the vibe, then when I export it, all my mute outs will already be there. So this long diatribe is in order for pad mute to work, you have to use the global automation function to mute out the individual drum sounds on that one track. If you explode those single one shot sounds on their individual tracks, then you could just use track mute. All right, that might be a little bit confusing for the beginners, but for those of us who have been using the MPC software for quite some time, I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. With that said, I'm going to simultaneously go between track mute and pad mute and mute out the sounds to create changes and different arrangements to make the beat become a song or a track, right? And if you make mistakes, you can always just hit undo. So I would generally start with the drums muted, hit overdub, right? And hit play start. Once I do that, then I'm going to go into pad mute, hit the global read and write automation to write, and then that'll become I'll be able to mute out. All right, let's go. Now that was the whole thing, right? And 32 bars was kind of short in which what I'm trying to do. And the thing with this is that you just have to know how much bars is what, right? So the first four was I was trying to do the intro, not trying. That's what I'm doing, right? I'm making the intro, then I'm making the hook, then I'm making the verse, then I'm making the verse change up, then the hook comes back. If I had more bars, I could have done more, but because we're doing for the video instructional purposes, I'm keeping it the way it is. So now you can go in here and pretty much make your adjustments, right? You hit the select tool right here, and if you made a mistake, you could come in and click it, and you know, this is mute off, this is mute on, and you can make your adjustments that way. All right, so now I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna listen for the mistakes that I did, and I'm also gonna listen for the changes, and I'm gonna count the bars as I'm going. All right. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much a sequence. Now, again, you could go back to remember to take off the global read and write automation, change that back to right, because if you leave that on right and then you go and you make any adjustments to the volume or anything, it'll automatically automate, right? So then you go back to pad mute, right? You see this is the mute outs that I did. That's mute is track mute, and pad mute is each individual mute out, right? Yeah. So right here, where's the read and write function? Notice that on the other tracks, I changed it on track 1 and all the way to track 5, it was green, right? That's because all those sounds was in one program. When I get to track 6, which is a plugin, the read and write function is still on. So what you want to do is, you won't be able to see it because my face is blocking it, but if you own the MPC, you know where it's at. It's up here in the upper right hand corner. that's where you want to hit global read and write, or on your MPC itself in the upper right hand corner. And if you pay attention to this right here, when I hit right on the MPC, it'll change it. Right? So now that becomes read, and they're all good. So if you do it on a track, just know that it's just better off to use a global read and write up in the upper right hand corner. You want to make sure you use that, because you'll make some mistakes, man. So that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys, how to use a 2-bar loop, a 2-bar sequence, and change that into a full beat. You know what I mean? This right here, this 32-bar loop, has a section for the chorus, which we call the hook, and then it has a section for the verse, and then it has a little tail end, and then you just, you know what I mean, you go in here, and you could double the length. That 32 becomes 64, and then that's enough for the artist. When you hand it to the artist, they have enough to work with, right? So if you have any comments or concerns, please post it up in the comment section, and I'll get back to you at my most earliest convenience. This is a pretty simple thing. I don't think anybody that owns an MPC don't know how to do this, but there are some people who are just beginning, and I'm trying to share that information for those, because Akai don't do a great job doing tutorials, video tutorials, audio tutorials, or even written tutorials. You know, there's not much information out there on how to use the software, let alone the standalone MPC unit. So shout out to all of the people, content creators out here who are giving up the information. Information is valuable. To knowing is half the battle. So with that much being said, do remember that music is life. It is our DNA. Keep banging. Peace. Love, light. Till next time. Peace. Peace.